Well, how do you feel about President Biden's pardon of Hunter? At first I was angry, but then it hit me what the ramifications of the pardon were. Now, Biden said he did it because Hunter was a victim of political lawfare. Are you kidding me? It was Joe's DOJ and special prosecutor who obtained the convictions. And remember the unprecedented sweetheart deal the special prosecutor offered Hunter on the gun charges? But it was only the judge's recognition of the unprecedented nature of the deal that led to Hunter's prosecution and conviction. What a joke. Does Joe really think the American public will swallow that line? Now, if you're like me, you expected this from Biden, who's lied to the public throughout his career. But Biden's pardon will likely place Hunter in a precarious position beginning next month. How is that? Well, Hunter can no longer hide behind the Fifth Amendment's prohibition or protection against self-incrimination. Now do you get it? You're smiling, right? Hunter will now have to testify before Congress and cannot plead the Fifth as to any questions pertaining to his activities between January 1, 2014 and December 1, 2024. Its breadth is unprecedented, and it leaves Joe and his brother James wide open to congressional inquiry about Hunter's business dealings. I can see James Comer and his committee herring into Hunter. And when they're finished, the James Jordan train will come barreling down the track. This will be must-see TV. Now, do you think Biden's advisors are so stupid as to leave him wide open to charges arising from Hunter's potential congressional testimony? Surely even they aren't that dumb, but, stranger things have happened. So how does Joe avoid the trap he seemingly laid for himself and his brother? I predict that he will pardon himself and his brother Jim on the way out the door just before President Trump is inaugurated. But that still doesn't solve Hunter's dilemma. He would still have to testify and be subject to perjury charges if he testifies falsely. So the dirt will likely have to come out anyway, and Joe's reputation will be sullied beyond repair. And it should be. This also adds to the Democrats' long list of problems following the Trump landslide victory and the Republicans keeping the House and taking the Senate. Do they try to protect Joe and risk being soiled with the same dirt? Or do they participate in the defrocking of Biden? I predict pretty much neither. I think the Democrats will sit idly at any hearings and try to make it look like a Republican witch hunt. And that won't work. Now, maybe a few idiots in Congress like Jamie Raskin or the Memphis moron Steve Cohen will try. I certainly hope so. Americans are finished with the dirty tricks the Democrats have pulled for years, but the Dems are still saying that they only need to rebrand their policies so America will understand. But they fail to recognize that America soundly rejected those policies. What happens next will surely be fun to watch. Take a look at this clip from Fox News, and please share your thoughts in the comments.
Senator Tom Cotton now, Republican out of Arkansas, incoming Republican conference chair. And sir, thank you for your time today. NBC report from July on Hunter Biden. Headline: Hunter Biden has joined White House meetings as he stays close to the president post-debate. And in that story, there's a suggestion that privately it was on the table still. Publicly, they were going to say no pardon. What's your top line response to this move now?
Joe Biden, for 50 years in public office, has always pridefully boasted about his word as a Biden. And I guess we now know that his word as a Biden is trash. For months, he and his White House spokespersons promised the American people they wouldn't pardon Hunter Biden. But not only did he lie to them about that, look at the scope of the pardon. It's far beyond the offenses for which he was convicted. It's any crime he committed whatsoever for 11 years, which raises the question, what crimes does Joe Biden think his son has been committing for the last decade plus? It also raised the question of whether Joe Biden is going to pardon his brother as well, who was up to his neck in the Biden family influence peddling operation. I would ask Joe Biden to commit not to pardon his brother, but again, we now know that his word as a Biden, especially about pardons, is trash.
Do you imagine that the incoming administration or even the Senate will try to continue an investigation into what has been alleged about the Bidens?
Well, Dana, I think we have to wait and see who else Joe Biden pardons. Because again, if he pardons his brother and maybe a sister, maybe some of Hunter Biden's corrupt businessmen, there may not be anything left to investigate, at least for criminal liability. I will say this, though, Joe Biden may come to regret this decision because having given his son a blanket pardon of 11 years to include time when Joe Biden was vice president, Hunter Biden now can't plead the fifth if he appears before Congress or appears before a grand jury. He has to testify about exactly what he was up to, for instance, when he was traveling to China on Air Force Two and meeting with Chinese communist princelings, or why he was being paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to sit on a Ukrainian energy company's board for which he had no qualifications. So that may be one unintended consequence of this pardon that Joe Biden didn't fully think through.
Greg Stanton's a Democrat out of Arizona. He was one of the first to chime in on X. He said, "I respect President Biden, but I think he got this one wrong. This wasn't a politically motivated prosecution. Hunter committed the felonies, was convicted by a jury of his peers." There will be a lot more reaction on this later today.